The reason Michael Malone was wearing out his welcome in Denver, despite having won a championship, he and Calvin Booth would continually clash because Calvin Booth was like, hey, play the guys I drafted. And then Mike Malone was like, no, I want to play veterans. I want to win. Calvin Booth is like, you can win with the young guys if you develop them. And the ownership group was like, all right, both of you get out of here. All right, let's have the tips discussion.
Let's do it.
Being the professional that you are, you teed this up. Okay. As you know, there's a lot of different angst about this situation in particular, whether or not Tibbs should stay or go. The case for feels like, hey, he got them to the next level. The case against was, hey, Rick Carlisle did some pretty special things in this series. I think Tibbs made some adjustments as well, even though some people would say he was late to them. Where do you fall on the Tibbs discussion? Do you think that despite the Knicks making the conference finals for the first time in 25 years, they need to change a head coach?
He really is an enigma to try to evaluate.
Yes.
Tom Thibodeau.
Yes.
Because, look, to a lot of the Tom Thibodeau supporters, and I don't even know where I stand on this, because throughout the year I was very critical of him. I also, not everything is the head coach's fault, and I think there are extremes on both sides, where there's a market for I know more than the head coach that a lot of people are taking advantage of right now, and I respect it. Fine. There's also a stubbornness of nothing is the head coach's fault that I think doesn't allow for the conversation we had that humans are fallible. And he absolutely has made a lot of mistakes this year. I thought this was a rough conference finals for Tibbs. Yes, he adjusted, but they were things that he probably should have been more prepared for coming into the series. And it's really a philosophy thing for me with Carlisle or juxtaposed against Carlisle, where Rick Carlisle's going in deep into his bench with Thomas Bryant and Jarris Walker and Ben Shepherd and Tony Bradley.
Yeah.
And it's game 3 and Tibbs is just now playing a 9th guy and Rick Carlisle's already tried 14. So,
and has been doing it all year.
So also, that's what I mean by the philosophy, where they spent this entire season just playing this mediocre starting 5 over and over and over again, the most possessions of anybody in the league. And it wasn't even a good starting 5. We never got to see the 5 out with Deuce in place of Josh Hart. As much as I think the cat defense stuff is being underplayed by that vocal portion of the fan base that you're talking about, I do recognize they never maximized Cat enough offensively to get the benefits of a Karl-Anthony Towns addition to your team. So I say all of this to say that, and I spoke a little bit about this on Game Theory with Sam Vecini last night. So I'll say it again. If you call him a bad coach, you're kind of telling on yourself and your intelligence. If you think Tom Thibodeau is a bad coach, you don't get to where he is, accomplish what he's accomplished, win as many games as he's won, been a stability for 3 different franchises now, without the principles that he upholds, the low-hanging fruit that he really takes advantage of, no turnovers, free throws, playing hard, effort, that all of his teams are usually able to showcase. He has some flaws, and every coach has flaws, and the further you get into the playoffs, those flaws get maximized. And his biggest flaw is inflexibility. You need to be flexible to be able to go multiple places if something isn't working, and not just, hey guys, if you just keep at it, you'll figure it out, rather than trying other things. And that inflexibility, unfortunately, gets magnified the further into the playoffs you go against another team that has all these different options ready to go. So I think it's very clear he got outcoached in the conference finals. It's very disappointing that, to your point, that this is how this season ends. I would welcome a new head coach if they decided to do it. I'm not as adamant as you need to do this. I don't necessarily know that they need a new head coach. an offensive coordinator, even though I don't think he would listen to anybody that they brought in to be an offensive coordinator.
I was thinking of that too.
So it's every conversation I've had with people that know how the Knicks operate. Like the whole Johnny Bryant thing is always so fascinating to me. Johnny Bryant never called a play for the New York Knicks, according to what I've been told.
Yeah.
Tibbs is not like a people person. He doesn't know how to interact with humans. He knows how to talk basketball and coach basketball.
Right.
And so he has assistants that are the human side of the coaching staff. And if you have an issue or something's going on in your life personally, you tell the assistant head coach. You go tell Mo Cheeks. You go tell Dice. You go tell Johnny Bryant. You go tell Rick Brunson. Leave Tibbs out of it because he's watching film up at the Knicks practice facility for the 95th straight hour. And I say all of that because, like, I think it really is, if you want to shift in scheme, you do need a head coach. There's no addition to the staff to help upgrade. No, he's just, this is who he is. So I would welcome a change if they decided to go that way. It's very bold if after the first trip to the conference finals, you fire the head coach. And I think that is the retort, Brian. Like, if they decide to keep him, it's because scoreboard. Like, everybody keeps saying he can't take us to the next level. They've progressed further into the playoffs each of the last 3 years. Won 2 games in the second round against Miami. Won 3 games against Indiana in the second round last year. Made the conference finals and were 6 wins away from a championship this year. I would understand if he's earned another transaction cycle, but goes into next season recognizing you have to get to the finals. Like, that is the bare minimum that you've now set yourself up for. You have to make the NBA finals next year. And I would understand if that's the expectation, while also recognizing he probably has earned another transaction cycle.
Yeah, it's very wide ranging where things can go. My retort when people always ask for, hey, Tibbs should be fired, I'm like, okay, who's the coach?
Right.
Like this is kind of where I land. Like I don't think he's Rick Carlisle or Eric Spoelstra, but I do think he's in the top 6 or 8 or something along those lines. That feels right. He has a track record of success. He also has a track record of wearing out his welcome, all these different things. And I think because you're so close, it feels like you should keep him, given that he's the best coach that the organization's had, or at least the most successful coach the organization's had in 25 years or something like that. And I think if this were football, yeah, you'd probably bring in a new offensive coordinator, to your point. But this isn't football. It doesn't work that way. And as you mentioned, Tibbs probably won't listen to whoever the quote unquote offensive coordinator would be, especially if you're plucking somebody out of Europe. You know what I mean? Or if you're getting somebody from college or whatever to try to run a new innovative offense. And he's like, I don't give a shit. Like I know what I know. I know what got me here, whatever. He's stubborn in that way. Listen, a lot of us in the Northeast were stubborn. It is what it is.
Bingo.
But I think, who is the coach is my question, because Knicks fans have told Dex and I, Michael Malone. And I'm like, you're going to run into the same issues. The reason Michael Malone was wearing out his welcome in Denver, despite having won a championship 2 years ago, was that he and Calvin Booth would continually clash, because Calvin Booth was like, hey, play the guys I drafted, play the young guys. I'm not going to pay or overpay this person like Bruce Brown or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And then Mike Malone was like, no, I want to play veterans. I want to win. Calvin Booth is like, you can win with the young guys if you develop them. And the ownership group was like, all right, both of you get out of here. We're going to completely change this.
Sound familiar, by the way? Does it sound familiar? That type of coaching philosophy?
The push-pull?
Like
yeah. It's like I get it. Michael Malone's from New York. And look, from a content perspective, I mean, he'd be great just because like the interviews, the sound bites, you know, but like for the Knicks, like I don't think that's different enough. That's not like the dramatic change you're talking about, Andrew. Like Michael Malone's going to be too similar. Taylor Jenkins is the only other coach where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But are you really going to, one, I don't know if we understand like how good he is or isn't. But two, do you know that he's a fit for this roster? I do have questions to your point about whether or not Tom Thibodeau is right for this roster, but I also think the roster kind of needs some retooling around the edges, which the Pacers really exposed in the conference finals to begin with.
Yeah, as far as who's the next head coach, I'm of the belief that, well, to your point about Mike Malone, those also make me laugh. The suggestions of Mike Malone that that's just, you want to fire Tibbs and hire Tibbs. Got it. Okay.
Because he got
Sounds
a
good.
title. And I'm like, yo,
And
he's not coming with Nikola Jokic if they hire
bingo.
him.
Like, if he's coming here and he can push the play Jokic button, then by all means, get me Mike Malone. I think I'm of the belief that if you're gonna change, to your point, change the entire look of this team. Taylor Jenkins was playing an 11-man rotation this year. It was a great thing, and you talk to people in Memphis, they'll tell you this. It was great for guys 4 through 11, but guys 1, 2, and 3, and the lack of ball screens and how Ja Morant was performing over the first 60 some odd games this season,
And his availability. But
well, like,
yeah.
there's that other part, like, that would be a shift. I'm not 100% sure, to your point, that is an appropriate an appropriate fit for this roster either. I think my buddy
Also,
Sean.
is Jalen Brunson signing off on that?
So there is that element too. But real quick, my buddy Sean with a W, Mr. Hardy,
We
has
had him in.
suggested Terry Stotts, who coached Dame Lillard all those years, has been an assistant at Golden State. So maybe he brings some offensive creativity for a small point guard that is elite offensively and may know how to create a defense that works with Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. I think to your point about Brunson and whether he signs off on it, look, he came here to play for Tom Thibodeau. The man visited the Brunsons in the hospital when Jalen was born. This is a family affair. It's why it's so much more complicated than just do what the Nuggets did, do what the Grizzlies did. The Grizzlies replaced Taylor Jenkins' entire staff with the next staff that they wanted to hire for Taylor Jenkins, like, before the season. And then they were just waiting for the right opportunity, but they were the 2 seed for most of the year. When they got to a point where they were losing enough that it felt appropriate, they fired him. The Mike Malone thing, to your point, it sounds like ownership wanted to end that feud very early on, but they kept winning. So, winning cured everything, which is why I think Leon Rose is in an interesting spot. They keep advancing farther into the playoffs. The East is wide open next year. So you can look at it as, hey, maybe we're more opportunistic next year with a little more experience with our core that we've built, our best 7. We add some depth around the edges, and with this group I believe in, we can go get it. Or is next year such an opportunity that you need to upgrade the head coach too? And upgrade's an interesting thing, because I don't want to be disrespectful to Tibbs and how good I think he is.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's why, the Mark Jackson thing has never made sense to me. He's not Mark Jackson, at all. Again, you're telling on yourself with your intelligence if you call him Mark Jackson. The comp I've always used is when the Clippers went from Doc Rivers to Ty Lue. Take one good head coach and replace him with another good head coach that's younger, more creative, willing to adjust more, and it's just a different look on a very good roster, going from one good philosophy to another. That happens in the NBA. I don't know who that guy is out there. Maybe Terry Stotts is. That's not my job to really know who the guy is. It's why I think this is a Leon Rose decision. I do recognize that there is a decision to be made here. It's not as clear cut. Of course you keep Tibbs, but I do recognize what the opportunity could be next year, and it's why I'll be fascinated to see what they do.
Leon Rose / James Dolan, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe Dolan steps in and says, I am making a decision. I happen to think James Dolan got 9 playoff ticket sales. So 9 home playoff ticket sales that he was allowed to take advantage of. And the Garden was packed as a result. So I don't think he's that upset with the result of this playoffs. You gave him 9 playoff home games, and literally the city was renaming street signs, streets, after Knicks players. I think he's okay from an entertainment standpoint, which for my money is where I think he cares the most. And like he went on the roommates pod. I think he's enjoying things at the
That's
moment.
true. I mean,
So
look, there's a thin line between stability and being resistant to change.